Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, my name is Lorne Risley. I'm the host of the Halcyon Show. How are you doing? I'm going to apologise first and foremost because you're going to hear this intro at the very end of the interview, but as is often my wont, I became a little overzealous with beginning the interview with our guest today. This edition, we welcome a music artist, rapper and writer who has been performing and producing music for decades, having aspired to become a musician since he was 10 years old. Now with a discography that includes 10 album credits such as Dip on Road, Private Moments in Public, Before I Was Famous and Vision, he has recently seen his following continue to grow and explode, culminating in plays on BBC Radio 1 and inclusion in the Mobo Unsung Class of 2022, over 60,000 monthly listeners on Spotify, and has been championed by the likes of Zane Lowe, Charlie Sloth and Ricky Gervais, as well as having performed at Glastonbury and Wembley, just to name a few of his accolades. Ladies and gentlemen, a man whose musical prowess and dynamism must put him in your top 5 on your playlist when you're easily listening at 4 a.m. in Watford, because blimey, to me, he's undeniable. It's the absurdly talented and prolific Genesis Elijah. Enjoy.
Ask that question. And so what I would do is I change the answer every time. Just made up bare lies.
Oh, you got to give me some of these. What was okay? Reaching into the big old bag of bollocks. What was like? Did you give them something that they really ran with, and you were like, I can't believe you bought that?
I can't even remember. I literally can't remember. But I remember just going, do you know what? It's like an origin story, yeah. So I'm just gonna make up something different every time. Like, yeah, I got this name from here, from there, and yeah. The funny thing is, like, over the years of lying about it so much, like I actually forgot the real origin. But yeah.
Well, listen, man, I can attest to it from the perspective. I only picked the name that I picked for the perspective of I just want to represent something very basic and rudimental, but I don't want it to be any more than like one day when someone says, so the common theme of all your work seems to be going back to a place. So really, when you think about it, like, no, dude, I was not trying to be that deep about it. I was trying to think generally of something cool. I didn't want to call it the Backside Show, but you want to think of something with some kind of cachet that doesn't sound like everybody else, and that's tricky when everyone is called everything these days. There's not anything that's not already been sort of done to death, and originality is it's something to really strive for rather than sort of happen across. At least I feel that way.
Yeah, it is, man. But I feel like with anything, like originality kind of comes from like inside you. So the more insular you can be, you're gonna find something that only makes sense to you. And I feel like that's where like the magic happens. The magic happens when you're only saying things or doing things that relate to your tiny circle, but at the same time they're relatable to everybody else. And then that's where you kind of find the originality and commonality at the same time. But it's super hard to do, man. There's a few artists that I've seen do it, and I've been like, damn, like you touched on, you got some magic there. And but yeah, it's definitely trying to be too original. It doesn't work.
It doesn't work, and it's. I mean, I've seen a few quotations of yours where you've kind of touched on this dynamic and this kind of dichotomy of like trying to be representative of what you want to portray and what you want to talk about, what you want to express in your own work, but then also this kind of pull of, well, but everyone else is doing this, so maybe you should just do your own version of it, and sort of the, like you said, the insular nature of being the artist, but also being the performer, and knowing that part of your responsibility is to give the audience what they want, sometimes what they need without knowing it's what they need. Like, that must be a difficult line for you to tread, considering that having gone through your back catalogue, I mean, it's very diverse, man. There's not a lot that I can say, oh man, there's a lot of like even bands that I'm massive fans of, you can start to point to, oh, well, that's kind of their sort of handiwork. Whereas with you, I don't really find that kind of repetition. Every song seems to have its own unique signature to it.
I think I'm a fan of music. Like, I just like different genres. And because I've been doing this so long. So it's funny because like before I was a rapper, like I did hip hop. I made rap music. That's what I did. And then over time, to me, that became not boring, because obviously there's always new rap out. There's always new artists that I think are amazing. But to me, it was a bit less of a challenge, and it's like I need to do some other stuff, because I want to reach different people. So there was a conscious decision that I made, probably like 10 years ago now, almost, where I was like, all right, I've been doing the bog standard UK hip hop boom bap stuff for a very long time, and I want to do something different. I want to make music. I don't want to be safe anymore. Like, how do I break out of this box? And I remember having a conversation with a guy who I really respect, a rapper called Fallacy, and I was saying, yeah, I just want to do different stuff, man, because my fans, it's like I'm just getting the same fans all the time. And he was like, you don't get to choose your fans. And I was like, yeah, that's very true, but I can change the music. And I just started changing the music, and I did a lot of things that people didn't like, but at the same time, when I got people going, nah, I don't like this, I was like, yes, I'm on the right path, because it means I'm doing something different than I've been doing. And then I just caught a taste for it, man. Just started having fun with different sounds, and then we get to where we are now, where it's like I'm doing the drum and bass stuff, I'm doing the garage stuff, and a lot of other dance stuff, and it's just having fun with music. Like, how can you take the skills that you learn in the rap world to the other side of the world?
What was, I mean,
You hear me?
Yeah. Sorry, there's I'm in the arse end of the Midlands, so unfortunately my
See.
internet connection is one of those things where it's a small gerbil running around a small wheel, and I have to jab him every now and then, and they don't feed him around here. So, okay, because here's the thing that as an artist, I can kind of equate to that, because I do understand that you start with a passion.
Yep.
And you master that passion to the best of your ability, but it only, like you say, it only carries you so far, because
Yep.
unless you hit a zeitgeist, or you just insanely lucky to just catch an idea that really catches fire, like you say, it only appeals to a certain amount of people. And as any artist, you want to develop and evolve anyway. But
Yeah.
mentally speaking, at least, was there a challenge in overcoming that barrier from being a pure sort of a pure rapper, or a pure lyricist, or a pure rap artist, to being more open to, well, I have these skills, I can translate them, I have this
Yeah.
passion, I can apply it differently? Was there any mental arithmetic that you had to do there to make it worth the jump in your own mind, or did it just seem like a natural progression?
To be fair, I feel like a lot of that stuff is okay. So when you come from a hip hop background, your skill set is lyricism, it's lyrics, right? So it's almost like the more intricate the lyrics, the better you are. It's like, that's what, from ages, I don't know, from age 10 to age 20, that's what my life was. Actually further than that, maybe 10 to 25. How can you come up with the most intricate lines, punchlines, syllables, all that kind of stuff? Then you start hearing what other people are doing in the garage scene and the grime scene, and you're like, drum and bass, you're like, that seems really easy, because they're not as lyrical as we are. They're not sitting down and rewriting to make sure that it's as tight as it can be. And part of that is almost missing like the skill set on their side. So when I'll give you an analogy, right? So on the hip hop side, and what I would class as the traditional hip hop side, we're trying to find the most intricate ingredients, right? And it's almost like it's very elitist. You taste the food and you're supposed to get hints of chestnut and lemongrass,
Lyrical
and
sommeliers, yeah,
right.
I got you, yeah.
So there's all of that in there, yeah. And it's like it's very pretentious. On this side, they just got good food, man. They're just here to enjoy the food. What does the food taste like? Does it taste great? Tastes amazing. Cool. Let's have some more drink. And it's like, so as far as like the mental gymnastics, it's really kind of going, oh wait, I don't have to put all those ingredients in, because number one, it's not really that it's easier, but we're trying to do something different here. We're not going for the music where you're sat down in your bedroom by yourself and you go, oh my God, what did he just say? And you rewind it 20 times. No, you're in a pub, you're in a bar, you're in a club, you're in a beach. Like the music it's there to be enjoyed in a different way. So for me, it was that transition of going, how do you, even in arrangement, how should songs be arranged? And some of that is, I guess some of that comes from just how the algorithms work, being in the place where now it's the Spotify era, the streaming era. So some of the arrangement changes just because of that song length, that kind of stuff. But at the same time, it's that, like, how do people enjoy music? What do the beats sound like? All that kind of stuff. So there was definitely, when I listened to the music I was making in, I don't know, like when I first started, so 2014, 2015, I definitely hear what I was trying to do. And I'm like, I see where you were going with it, because you were trying to do like the trappy, poppy rap Drake stuff, but you still hadn't figured out why it worked. You just knew it worked, but you didn't know why it worked. You didn't get how it was put together, but A for effort, but it wasn't what it should have been.
Right.
And I'm still, to be fair, even now, I'm still so stuck in the mindset of the way I'm so used to making music. It's still hard for me to kind of always see where I should be musically, but that's why you work with different producers who can kind of bring you to their level, bring you to where they are. So working with Shapes was a really cool thing, because I got to be like, I'm going to do half the song, he's going to do the other half, and it's going to come together in a perfect way, because he knows where I'm trying to go even before I can see it.
I think, again, the illustration of that, I mean, again, how you're applying yourself is I mean, the three that really stand out to me at the moment are top five, because that's my favorite. That's my favorite song of yours. It's got, I don't know how many views. I'm probably 90% of them. I've rewatched that on YouTube a million times, because not only do I love the song, I love the composition of the movie that you've used, because I'm a sucker for that sort of old school, the 70s kung fu movies, plus the Wu-Tang Clan influence as well. I'm a sucker for that too. It's just what it is. But then you've got something like Born to Fly, which is there's much more levity to it, there's much more pace. Maybe the lyrics aren't quite, or the delivery of the lyrics, I should say, aren't quite as, again, I keep coming back in top five to Music to Rise, like you can't help but just start, squaring up. Whereas like Undeniable, for instance, that's a marked change. But the reason I describe you as quite dynamic musically is because, like, and I'll throw my example into the bus. My favorite band ever is Linkin Park, and a couple of their experimental albums, or where they go differently musically, I appreciate what they're trying to do, but there is, like kind of what you described. They're almost trying to characterize themselves differently, but they're not wearing it. You know what I mean? It's different between
100%.
wearing a suit, but wearing a suit with a pocket tie. They've not made it their own, really. And when they're not embodying it correctly, fans feel it. Whereas with yours, I never really got that sense. I always felt like you were giving everything your all.
I think it's really weird that you would choose those songs, right? Because you've almost got me representing the three different kind of spaces that I don't know, the spaces that I'm taking over right now, or that I feel like I'm in. So top five is really a traditional, that's me, like, left to my own devices. That whole album, that None of You Can Mess With Me album, that is, if you just leave me alone, with no one else around, that's what I make. And it's almost, it's where everything else stripped away. So it's not really about the production. It's not really about the presentation. It's just, let me just rap, man. Let me just rap. The vision is, like I say, the reason I use that film 36th Chamber, it's like, that's what I grew up on. Those films were my favorite films. That's probably my top. That might be my favorite kung fu movie of all time. Like, if it's not that, then it might be Shaolin versus Wu-Tang. Like, but at the same time, it's really close. That's probably, like, if I got to choose one, it's probably that. And it goes back to just that's how we came up. We came up listening to the Wu. We came up in that style. So if you leave me, that's where I end up. Undeniable is that's kind of like drum and bass, but it's produced in a way which is quite accessible. So it's like, yeah, it's hard. But one of the things when we went to the label with it, they were like, yeah, we like it, but it's a bit too polished. Like it's too, you know what I mean? It's too clean. It's too clean. Like the sound, we want a bit of a more of a grimy sound, a bit of more of a grimy mix. So the version that you hear now is slightly more kind of more made for the dance, made for the DJs. But the vision I had with it, with Undeniable, was a single. Like, yeah, it's drum and bass, but I need to come in strong. That's gonna be my single. Even the hook change, that wasn't even the original hook. If I played you the original Undeniable, you'd be like, it's a totally different song. And we changed that probably maybe 2 days before we had to like hand it in, and we just went, nah. Shapes didn't like the hook. We had a girl singing on the hook. He was like, nah, I don't like it, and changed that. And then, yeah, anyway. So, and then you've got Born to Fly, and Born to Fly it's a crossover song. It's a pop song, really. Like in its heart, it's a pop song, and it's made for that. It's made to occupy that space. When I made it, it was made to be like, if I had to go to a major label, what would I give them? And how could I give them the song that represented me this whole time? So how can I tell you the story of what I've been through, but give it to you in a way that anyone can listen to it and be like, yeah, you know what, that's a bagger. So whether you like rap, whether you don't like rap, you could just hear it on the radio and be like, yeah, nah, I like that. And even if you don't even like the verses, you might just like the hook. That's cool as well, because I made that too. Like, it's kind of like those songs are for everybody. Like, I feel like with those 3 songs, I can reach everyone in the world if I was given the platform to do so. And yes, it's funny that you picked those 3 songs.
Well, again, I've had a bit of a ball listening to because again, it's wonderful having a lot of reference material, and you have been prolific, so it's wonderful being able to just kind of just dive deep and just right, next one, watch the videos, look for little nuances and subtleties and stuff. But I note that there's a couple of you and another thing as well, your interviews, you're very quotable, and you give I love how you very rarely preface what you're about to say. You let what you say stand on its own merit, instead of, right, before I say what I'm about to say, let me just preface that I have 20 years experience and all the love in the world. You just say what you trust your audience. I think that's another thing that I've noticed, and I really appreciate that. Whereas I think it's interesting, one of your quotes here, so many of you are trying to be content creators, but are you content with what you create, or are you content, and it's that constant trying to reconcile producing content, trying to keep up, trying to keep relevant, but also trying to retain that artistic integrity that I think is very strong. It's strongly imprinted on your work, versus what I see a lot of in a lot of content creators, which is literally just waking up in the morning, seeing what's trending, and then trying to emulate it. It's so impressive to have, again, looked through your back and seen that same identity, that same fingerprint throughout everything that you've done. It's so quintessentially you. And I wonder, like, because you mentioned there, if you had the platform, because one of the things that I've also noticed is, and again, I'm sure you'll agree with me on this, you're criminally underrated. What the fuck? Where is the traction? And for once, it's not like I can say, oh, well, I know why. It's I don't know. It's the name, Genesis. It's too complicated. It's too many syllables. You need to be just. And where are all the damn hashtags? There should be a symbol in there. Maybe some numbers. Have you thought about adding some numbers? Maybe that's your problem. You should add some numbers. I sound like I sound like the music executive was at the beginning of Sum 41's track. You're the Genesis now. No, you can't be that. There's another band called that. They were moderately successful at one point. But I mean, like, in your mind at least, how do you feel? Having been producing music for a fairly long time, yeah. You've gone through the genres and you've put in a lot of the legwork. In fact, in one of your interviews, you mentioned street teams. There's a term I've not heard in a while. Yeah. How do you feel trying to compose, write, produce, and then release when promotion seems to be the name of the game these days in terms of becoming prominent? Your skill level seems to be one of those things that they look at after they see the promotional material.
100%, man. I think, you know what? So somebody sent me a video yesterday, and it was an artist saying how he wasn't releasing music anymore because he just wasn't getting the views and no one's really checking for him, and it's too hard doing it by himself and that kind of stuff. And someone hit me up and was like, yo, have you seen this? Like, I mean, it's tough, man. Like, I feel emotional watching this, man. What can we help him in some way? So I watched the video and I was like, okay, cool. Then I checked out his music and I was like, it's not really there. Then I checked out how much music he put out, and he only put out 5 songs. And I was just like, you don't understand. You're crying over shit that you ain't even touched the sides, bruv. Like, you haven't even 2 decades into this, like, really done the work, like, really, like, and again, like you said, in the street team era, in the era when you couldn't just record at home. You had to find the studio, you had to find a producer, they had to want to give you the beats, then you had to go get it mixed and mastered, and then there was no like MP3 to just put it out. It had to either be CD or it had to be vinyl. Like, it had to go out somewhere. It couldn't just be something you just go, yo, check this link. Like, we really had to put in work. We sold CDs in the streets for years. So to me, I feel like there is a level of entitlement, but I also feel like even though I feel like I put in the work and I feel like there's certain things that I should have, but at the same time, that's the entitlement as well. So it's like, you don't get to choose none of that. And at the same time, I know there's people that look at me like I've made it already. There's people that look at me like, oh, if I could just get to where you are. And I've been around people who are much bigger than me, that have sold out Scala, that have done crazy stuff, and they are like, yeah, I should be bigger. So it's like, everybody feels this. Everyone feels like they should be at a certain level. They should be where they are. They should be where he is. They should be where she is. And it's just, it's an artistic entitlement that kind of comes with the game. But as far as like, do I think I should be a bigger artist? Every single day, I think I should be a bigger artist. But it doesn't affect me how it used to. So before, it'd be like, man, I should be there. Almost kind of like a bitterness with it. But I have like the foresight now, and I've been here long enough to really understand what's important about what we do. And it's really cool to get the names, it's really cool to get the numbers, it's really cool to get all of that. But I know a lot of people that had that stuff and still ended up bankrupt, still ended up not with the money, still ended up not with the stuff you're supposed to get with it. So as an independent artist, I feel like I've done super well, because I've been an independent artist forever. Now I'm working with labels, but I'm working with labels because I want to, and I'm having fun with it, and I'm still owning all my music, I'm still owning all my masters, I'm still owning my publishing, and I'm in a really good position. Yes, I want to be bigger. Yes, there's still levels I want to get to. I honestly, when people say to me, oh yeah, you're doing really well, you're a big artist, I'm like, nah, like the level that I'm at, I'm like, those are hobby numbers, man. I know people that do way better than that, but I'm still grateful for what I have. I'm still grateful, like, because I know these people that have been doing this as long as me that didn't get what I got. And there's going to be people that, again, are never going to get to where I am, never going to get to this level. So for me, it's just like, yo, you got to be grateful. There's certain things that I've done in music that are once in a lifetime things that certain people are never going to get to. They're never going to get to perform at Wembley. They're never going to have their music in films. They're never going to get to do adverts. They're never going to get to travel the world. And these are all things I did by myself without being famous. So to me, that's where the blessing is. You kind of got to look at it that way. And there's certain bits as well that are mean way more than all that stuff. Like, I've had people message me and tell me that my music saved their life. And to me, I'm like, maybe the whole career was just for that moment. That's what it was for. It was literally for me to make that lyric that reached that person, that kept them going. Maybe that's what it was for. And everything else is just a bonus. So yeah, I'm never like, now I'm never down at like where I am. Obviously, I'm always pushing, man. I'm a hustle forever. But at the same time, we say, like, if this is where we're going, my coach, I had a basketball coach, man. Sylvester Jacobs, my basketball coach when I used to live in Luton. And he said, you know, we made it to the county, We did it to County. And if this is where we end, this is where it ends, man. That's where we made it to. But we didn't. We went a bit further. But if that's where it ends, that's where it ends. And that's the way I feel about music. I'm like, if this is how far it goes, that's how far it goes. But you know what I mean? We keep pushing, man.
You've come an exceptionally long way. I mean, in doing some digging, some of the dates, you know, for this. Look, I'm old as shit these days, okay? But I have to remember that I am only 33, which in the scope of life isn't that old. But I do
Not
feel
even
old
close.
when I'm like, well, this is the thing, right? When I have to spend a lot of my time now prefacing what I say, only because people don't know what the fuck I'm referencing, it becomes a bit of a struggle than not wasting the preceding, hopefully, 70 years of my life spending all my time explaining. So there was this thing before the internet, you see,
Yep.
and we didn't download our music, we burnt it to CD. And then
Come on,
we
man.
had to reburn CDs constantly because, of course, we had new songs that we liked all the time. We realized, fuck, I've not put it on that CD, so we've got to reburn a new one. But like looking through your history, I mean, the first, it's actually kind of cool that I'm catching you on this date, because the first ever video that you posted on your YouTube channel, I'm doing it, was released almost 13 years to the day, back in 2009 on the 16th of November. So that's 13
Crazy.
years on the platform of again, when you look at YouTube, what that's become since you started. And then,
Yeah.
like you mentioned, I mean, I was speaking to Bryson Briggs at one point, and he was telling me, like, when he was starting music, literally you had to put it CD, and then you had to find people and put it in their hands, say, no, play
Yeah.
my music, man. And you almost had to sell them on the idea of playing it, because there was like this
100%.
like, well, no, I've got my playlist, I'm not sure, you know, no, listen, hear me out. Whereas today, it is as simple as having a moment, just having a moment where someone captures the imagination for right or wrong. So what I'd like to know, from someone who is as seasoned as yourself, but is as masterful as yourself, do you feel a pressure to have a moment as opposed to being able to rely on a body of work as good as yours? Or do you feel like, because I would consider myself a fan of yours, having gone through the back catalogue now, of like, I'm excited to see anything you do. Do you think that speaks for itself, or do you, again, you trust your audience? So I mean, how do you feel about against that balance, if you agree with that balance, of course?
I feel like you have to do it all. So I feel like the catalogue is in case you don't have a hit song. And the chances of you having a hit song are really, really slim. I saw this quote that Jim Jones said, and they were saying, how do you stay, you've been doing it for so long, man, how do you stay motivated? And he says, you stay consistent so you don't have to stay motivated. If you're consistent, you don't have to be motivated. And part of the discipline of being an artist comes with that consistency. So what you see a lot of as well is, you see people, an artist will go viral, will have their moment, and people find them, but there's no history there. So you're like, so now you're waiting for the next thing they do, but that's not ready, because they didn't know they were going to go viral. They just made a song, so they're not even in a position to capitalize on what's just happened. So the position that I'm in, and the position I find a lot of, I try to tell other artists that I'm around, is like, just do the work in it. Just do the work. Just you're having fun making music, put the music out. If it catches, you're good. If it doesn't, you're still good, because what's going to happen in time, all those little numbers start adding up. You might not get a million streams, but if you're getting 1,000 streams, 2,000 streams, 5,000 streams consistently, that's going to build up over time. So to me, that's really important. And not getting there's this thing we do as artists, right? So every single song before it's released is a hit in your mind. So before it's released, like, you're like, this is the one, man. Like, I know this is the one. This is the one that's gonna blow. And when you put it out and it doesn't do that, sometimes it knocks you back. You're like, oh man. So even if I'd put out Born to Fly 10 years ago and it did what it's doing now, I would be depressed as hell. I'd be like, nah, man, I put in so much time to that song. Like, it's supposed to be massive. But yeah, it is supposed to be massive, but it's not massive. So what do? Another quote from Giggs. He was like, man, just make another song. Like, it's not hard. Like, make more music. And that's the thing. To me, it's like, I never let it get me down. If it does well, all right, cool. If it doesn't, all right, cool. We just keep moving, man. And if in 20 years time, somehow, some way, Born to Fly gets picked up and put on a film, and all of a sudden does the Kate Bush whatever, all of a sudden becomes a massive hit, number one hit. It's good, man. I got a catalog there. I was ready for that moment. Like, it's all the stuff is there for you. Like, it's all there. My life is all there. You can. It's documented, man. From 2003. Some people are lucky. You got some old stuff from me from like 99 and 2000, but it's documented. You can see the whole journey, and if you want to get involved, you can get involved. But for me, it's not about waiting for the viral moments, but it's about being prepared if they do come.
When you talk about talking about a body of work and having it, sort of as a reference and also as a, as kind of an account of everything that you've achieved so far, when you think about your evolution as a man, as an artist, from being, in your own words, quite angry, quite visceral, to being more self-aware, you use a lot of your music to talk about your own experiences and the insular nature of your experiences. Let me ask you, with regards to how that informs your musical process. So now that you're more aware of the emotions that you can invoke from people, or indeed like the viral nature of a song, like especially like with gym culture and with a lot of content creation, people are always looking for they're content hungry a lot of the time. How does that inform your process? I've seen it in interviews where you've mentioned the fact that you can disassociate your personal preferences when you produce music to when you sit down and work. Like, no, this is my working hat now. I need to produce something that someone wants. Okay. Mm-hmm. How does that inform your process when producing, or when writing and producing something?
See, it really depends. Like, it depends what it's for. It's like, what's the outcome? So if I'm working with a label on a catalog and they're saying we get this a lot, man. So they'll say, oh, we want these songs are for, like you said, the workout stuff. These are gym songs. All right, cool. We can go into that bag, and these songs are for that. But again, it's a totally different mindset than when I'm making music for my legacy. So when I'm making music for, if you know what, you can tell the difference if you listen to Vision. So Vision is like, it's an album that was really made to be streamed. It was a streamable album. It was an album with the algorithms in mind. Right. So it was understanding, when the song starts, the song needs to start. I don't want no intros. Let's just get in with it. I want fast rhythms. I want that's what we're looking for. It's grime music, it's good time music, and that's what it's about. And the majority of the songs are about that. If you listen to A Prophet in His Hometown, it's totally different. The songs have themes. The album has a theme. It's about something. I never thought about, is this gonna get playlisted? Is this gonna get streamed well? Is this gonna and it didn't. Compared to Vision, it didn't, which is totally fine. But it's not for that. It's for when I'm gone. Same with None of You Can Fuck With Me. Like, when it's not for now, man. It's for my grandkids. It's like, it's for a time when I'm not here anymore. If people want to know about me, then go listen, and you're gonna find some gems. You're gonna find about who this person was in this time. And I think it is a very different mindset, but to me it's all fun as well, because I feel like I love the idea of a producer or a label coming to me and going, right, we want to make a song about candles, and me having to go, wait, what? And having to go like, all right, cool. How am I gonna do this? Or being in a position where, so I did a song for one of the adverts I did. I think it was for a speaker company, and the song was like, the beat was already done, and it's not the kind of beat I would usually do. And they also had a reference, like, this is the sound we want. And I'm like, okay, this is not my sound, yeah, but I'm gonna have mad fun doing it because I'm an artist. It's what I do. I'm a painter. So it doesn't matter what you want me to paint. I'm gonna paint. And I feel like that comes with time. That comes with experience.
Not treating it like it's below you, almost like, no, as an artist, I'm going to take this as almost like a personal challenge, right? How can I interpret this and how can I make something out of this? Yeah.
100%. And I don't think like one of my very first jobs I even got paid for as a musician. I think I was young. I was about 17 maybe, and I had to write a verse for. There was a pop band at the time called Cleopatra, and yeah, right.
Just
so
about.
one of the
Yeah, I'm old. Yeah, God, I'm old. Go. Sorry.
this, you might have got the tail end, but like, so one of the producers they were working with was like, oh, can you write a verse? And so he had contacted one of my friends who was like, oh, I know a rapper, so I've come through and I've written a verse. Now I don't remember the verse, I don't remember the song, but I know there is no way I would have written it in the correct way for whoever it was written for to do it justice. Because I would have just been like, they want a rap verse, oh my god, I'm gonna rap my hardest bars, whether it fits with the track or not. Like that whole saying, read the room, bruv. Like then I wasn't in the space to do that, because again, I was young, I was always trying to prove myself as a rapper, and to me, that was being a good rapper was the most important thing. It was way more important than the song. When I would get on songs with other rappers or whatever, I'm just trying to write the sickest bars, man. Like that's what I'm trying to do. Now it's totally different. I don't have the idea when I do collabs with people. I'm never thinking, oh, how can I rap better than everybody else here? Nah, I don't want to do that. All I want is you to get a piece of me, you to understand me a little bit better by the end of the verse. I just did this song, Mr. Menace. It was like a massive collab track, loads of rappers on there. Some of my favorite rappers. They go hard. They can spit bars. I knew they were gonna go hard. I was like, you not go hard, man. I'm gonna say something else. I'm gonna use my little 8 bars to do something else, because I don't need to prove myself to anybody. And I feel like that will be better for the track. I feel like everyone's gonna be doing something. I want to do something else.
There's so much about that I resonate with. As I produce content for various things, and yeah, the amount of times where you get something, and you get the reference, or you send it and you're proud of it, and they send it back with the notes of like, so we liked it. We really liked it. However, and you go, okay, I'm open to criticism. What's criticism? And you hear the criticism, and you go, I fundamentally disagree with you, but you're the client, so okay, fair enough. Again, it's that pride thing. It's that I'm proud enough to admit that this what I made for them wasn't what they wanted. They want something different. Now,
even if it's better.
Even if it's better, exactly. I mean, the best illustration I could ever make of that is I became a battle rap fan around 2015-16, and I remember showing people certain things by certain artists and rappers. And then it always annoyed me almost when you'd show them some of the most intricate shit you could imagine. And then they'd go mad for, like, with all due respect, I love them both. But Marlowe and fucking Shuffle T's battle against Fantastic. And you'd go, this is where you guys, I mean, it's really entertaining. But watch Arsenal versus Shotty Horror. Please. Like, and hear these two go at it. I'm begging you. Nothing. And you go, I mean, guys, I think you missed. Did you not hear what he said? Listen, but then you go, okay, fine. But there's levels, there's different palettes, there's different understandings, and there's different appreciations. It's the same with any other piece of entertainment.
That's it, man. And that's a really good example as well, because my favorite battle rappers are, I would say, if like, there's things that I will say, but then my fingers do different things. So it's like, I might say, oh, Lux is my favorite battle rapper. But if there's a Lux battle and Shuffle T and Marlowe, I'm probably going to click Shuffle T and Marlowe first, right? So you kind of go, well, yeah, I mean, anyway, I'm not even going to go into that. But yeah, that's like a lot of people, because who can you relate to?
Sure.
And one of the things as an artist as well, which is cool, but also annoying, is you don't get to pick what people relate to and what connects with the people. So you can do all the work you want. So we can get a song and we go, yeah, this song's amazing. It's produced correctly. The mix is perfect. The master's perfect. The content around it is really cool. Yeah, it's a really good song. Cool. We're gonna get the right marketing team. We got the right PR team. We got the radio pluggers. Everything is in place. We're gonna give it the biggest push, and we give it the biggest push, and it does what it's supposed to do as the push side, but then the people don't pick it up and run with it. And then you're like, oh, it just didn't connect. Like, you did all the stuff, but it didn't connect. Then there's other times where I would say my biggest songs are songs that I did nothing to promote. Didn't promote them at all. I just put them out, and they just did what they did. Vision took me, I don't know, man, half an hour to make. Super light. Like, even the beat was nothing. I just, dude, I like that. Sounds cool. Yeah, cool. Bang, track done. Right. I just needed something to end the album with, and I just wanted to say a few things. Cool. That got picked up straight away. Like, wait, what? That's the one that everyone goes for. I performed at a club and at a show, and I was running out of time, and I was like, oh, do you know what? I don't have time to do this last song. So peace, guys, everyone. And no, come on, man, do one more. All right, cool. So I did Vision, and then Skinny Man was there. He's like, bro, that's the song you weren't gonna do. That is hard, bro. You know what I mean? Like, songs like I think one of my first playlist placements was a song called 37. Again, 37 was just made. It was on my birthday. Had some free time. My missus was out. At the time I was doing a song every birthday. Let me just get this real quick. The beats were always really simple as well, because again, I had to do them quick. That's the song that just picked up, man. 36 Chamber. Again, these are the songs that I just did, and they just picked up. Man-Made Monster. Again, I put it out. Crickets. No one cared about it. I reposted it a year later. Everyone went crazy over it. Just connects at different times, man, and you don't get to choose when it does, which is cool and annoying, but it just is what it is.
Do you have an example of something then that you think would have hit differently if it had been released at a different time? Or rather, either now or sort of a period after it was initially conceived? Is there anything that really stands out to you as, do you know what, man, in hindsight, if this had hit here, it would have really caught, because you're 100% right. Sometimes it can be just a case of bad timing where you go, for whatever reason, and it could just be something completely out of your hands, like the zeitgeist moves on, the something else comes up and just completely, I mean, fuck me, if COVID isn't something that's a palate wash, or actually kind of the converse. I mean, I don't know about you, but COVID was an opportunity to kind of broaden the palette a little bit. It was like, okay, well, what I'm used to isn't available. What else is there at the moment? And that was a real opportunity for people to really sample a lot of different stuff. Whether or not that, translates to long-lasting changes and incorporations of different things, I'd like to think it would be. But is there an example of something that you think, do you know what, now would have been good, or just if it was just the timing just quite wasn't right in your mind at least?
Do you know what? I don't think it's a timing issue. I think sometimes it can be a timing issue on a bigger scale, but I think what it is like, it's almost like if it doesn't hit, it doesn't get above the noise, and
right.
And like far enough for everyone to grab it, it's just not the one.
It just
and
loses
I feel
oxygen. In effect, it just gets suffocated out with everyone gasping for air at the same time.
Yeah. So there's certain songs that I feel like on the right platform, and if people got it, they'd be like, oh, that's crazy. So like Blimey with Harry Shutter, like, to me, that song should be massive, because it's like, it's just nuts. But again, it's just like, it just didn't get where it's supposed to go. A lot of times I kind of feel to myself like, if I just uploaded my songs under a different name, not like a random name, but if I just put it up under like whoever the biggest artist, if I put my song up, if I put A Prophet in His Hometown and posted it as Dave, it would go crazy, and everyone would be like, oh my god, this album's genius. But it's because it's like, because I'm not Dave, it just doesn't get where it needs to get to. So I feel like that's almost a bigger problem. Songs like Mug, I always thought Mug is a really good song and a funny song, and it just probably needed a video to push it where it needed to get to. But I kind of have this fantasy about one day the viral moment hits, right, and all of a sudden I go from doing like, I don't know, a couple of thousand streams a day to, I don't know, 100,000, 200,000 streams a day. And I get to that point where I can start giving people old music, like, yo, what about this? And everyone goes, oh my God, that's crazy. And I'm like, I told you, bro. Like, I was trying to tell you, look, before, but you just weren't listening. But it was always there. And I feel like it's just that how do you get to the platforms, man? How do you get to the bigger platforms? And part of that as an artist is you got to figure that stuff out yourself, man. You got going back to that guy who was like, oh, I feel like quitting. It's like, you need to figure that out, man. Like, that's part of the game. Like, you don't just get to make the music and it doesn't do what you want it to do, and then you go, oh, okay, it just didn't do it. And that goes for me as well. I don't just get to go, oh, do you know what, man? It just, oh, well. Nah, man, you got to figure it out. Like, if you want it, figure it out. Because in hindsight, I can see the places where if I had stuck with certain things, I'd be in certain places now. Like, if I had stuck with TikTok years ago when I first got on it, then I'd have been in a much better place than I am now. But I was just like, nah, this ain't for me. Okay, you missed out. Like, there's stuff that you might not want to do, but how bad do you want the things that you want? And if you really want them, then you got to do the things you might not want to do. Like, it's all a balance. So yeah, man.
I'd be a bad interviewer if I didn't at least introduce one contentious issue into my interviews.
All right, cool.
You made a statement. Logan Paul is such a good athlete. Explain yourself.
Did you see him in WWE?
I will let you explain yourself, but I'm already.
Right.
You are not off to a good start.
Man, I see that. You know how hard it is for me to just walk up and down stairs all day. He's jumping off ropes, like, it's crazy. And then I'm thinking, like, we laugh at what he's doing as far as, like, I feel like, oh man, it's a double-edged sword, because I feel like the fight game used to be something that people could really enjoy, and they've taken it to now it's just YouTubers fighting whoever they want to fight, and it's just not serious anymore, right? So I feel like kind of like the there's no reverence for the fight game anymore. They've kind of changed it, and that's, things change, innit? It is what it is.
It is what
I don't
it
like
is.
that,
But
at the same time, my guy can fight. Like, he's been in the gym. And I'm not one of these people who think like any fight. I know people are like, oh, his fights are fixed. I don't think any of these fights are fixed. If I'm a mark, I'm a mark. Like, I really feel like people are going out trying to knock him out. He's trying to knock them out, and he's winning.
Well, you have acquitted your case masterfully, and I look. I'm kind of in the soy boy camp of thinking these guys. Look, I get it. They've done a magnificent job of marketing themselves, and a magnificent. But the push has been. You can't fault it, with the exception of a detour to a Japanese forest or here or there. But that notwithstanding, like, yeah, because you're kind of right. It's whether or not you believe they're fixed. That's the damage. It's the fact that we're even having a conversation is not good. But I think it's ultimately fine until they get into MMA. If they ever take MMA on, then it becomes a question of, well, hang on a second. I thought we the whole to the death thing of MMA in the first place to now, where it's supposed to be potentially the most legitimate martial art competition in the world. Then you can start to go, why are a couple of YouTubers fighting in the UFC? I mean, if you want to make the argument, like I've heard, well, yeah, but CM Punk fought in the UFC. Yeah, but he didn't fight for 3 years. Like, they made him go learn jiu-jitsu, go and throw some punches at someone, maybe heal. Like, wrestling's not great for you, so maybe heal for a bit. But yeah, no, I saw that, and I can't resist it. It was like pre-Batman Patterson. I can't not give the guy a jab, because he made me suffer through Twilight, so he has to pay. And the Paul brothers have made me suffer through endless arguments of people going, oh, if you look really closely, Tyron Woodley shimmies his shoulder slightly before he takes the punch. And you go, look, maybe.
No. I don't like.
You bought the pay-per-view, so it doesn't matter. Like, they've got your money, so what do you care?
I'm not. I never believe in any of those kind of conspiracy theories. I just don't think it's some. I'm not saying it's something they wouldn't do, because I feel like at the same time, if it came out in 10 years' time, all those facts were fixed. Again, I wouldn't be surprised. I'd just be like, oh, okay, cool.
If you want to criticize them for cherry picking opponents, then you've got to criticize Floyd Mayweather's career for 10 years, and no one ever questioned his legitimacy. It's one of those things where it's like, no, I know I can beat you. You think you can beat me?
Yeah,
Fine. I'm happy to be paid
yeah,
$50 million to
yeah.
prove you wrong. Like,
Mm,
that's how boxing's been forever. World heavyweight champions
yeah,
select the people they think
yeah.
they can beat, and that's why it was always such a surprise when a Larry Holmes would come along, or when a Tyson
Mm,
Fury would come along, and it's like, holy crap! Like, oh, he's shaking up the world. Like, he's legit come in and
yeah,
shocked
yeah,
expectations.
yeah. But that Deji Mayweather fight, that's something that should never have happened.
Oh,
But then again,
you're killing my joke, man. I was gonna ask. So when are you fighting Floyd Mayweather? When is your date? Since everyone's getting
never,
one now.
never.
You
He
wouldn't
would,
fight
he
Floyd
would.
Mayweather?
Nah, he beat the brakes off me. Depends what the money's saying. Like, I'm not. But to me,
He's
I'm just
making
like,
sure you're paid. You're paid. Don't worry.
okay, cool. Did So wait, did Jake Paul, did he get his money? I know one of them was like, yo, he ain't paid me yet. I heard Mayweather's not too cool with the paying people, but like, yeah, like to get beat up. I don't know. I think I got too much pride for that, man. I would, if I did it, I would definitely like train for a year and really try and go for it. But at the same time, I'm not delusional to be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna fight him. I'm gonna win. And I wouldn't be going, yeah, I got a punch on him. Yeah, hooray for me. Like, come on, man. That ain't cool, man. That's not cool. But I really like the kind of the trajectory of all of them. I like what KSI's done. And I think it's cool, man. It's like it's as far as like destroying the gatekeeperiness of everything, and just bringing it down and going, nah, do you know what? Yeah, we live in a capitalist society where it's all about attention and money. I have the money. I can buy the attention. They want to see me do it. I'm gonna do it, whether you like it or not. The game is the game. If you don't like it, go change it. But at the moment, I'm doing my thing, man. So and like, as far as KSI as an artist, I've always been like, I don't like his music, like, just as a I mean, rap or whatever. But I'm promoting it when I see it, because I'm like, nah, do you, man? Like, I just want to see you do well. Like, it doesn't have, and it's not for me. He ain't, again, like I say, I'm making music for who I'm making music for. He's not making it for me. So it's, for me to even be upset about it would be crazy. Like, same with the fights. They're not for, I mean, all that kind of stuff is not for me. I'm not getting an energy drink either. It's not for me. But yo, for whoever it's for, go for it, man. Knock yourself out.
So happy you said that. I've just seen the Joey Phoebe meme where it's, I personally did not like that fight. They've ruined it for everybody, and I think everyone should agree with me, because it is that. I'm in that phase now where I'm exactly the same as you. I grew up watching KSI back in the day when I was not in uni, but I was around a lot of uni students. And the fact is that he was entertaining as hell. And then I grew out of his content. And then he starts doing a bunch of stuff. And yeah, maybe I'm like, oh, well, you know, he should really go to boxing school if he wants to go to... But then you think about it for 2 seconds and you go, right, who says he can't? If he can arrange a fight and people are willing to pay to see it, and someone's willing to pay to license him, and it's safe,
Yeah.
I don't actually see an issue. It's the purity guardians that come in and say, well, this isn't the way it's supposed to be done. Well, the way it's supposed to be done is just what they're doing. They have an audience that wants to see them do things, and in their case, in a weird way, they've managed to cultivate this kind of anything is possible attitude, where it's, we want to be musicians this week, next week we want to be film stars, the week after that we want to be writers, and their failure will be what informs what they do next. But they're entitled to try. That's fair play to them, man.
It's all good. I like it, man. I like it.
I like it a lot too. I do have a question concerning something that I saw in an interview, and I feel, actually, do you know what? I feel bad segueing into this now, because I don't want to infer it's anything in, because it isn't. Right, I'm making it a point now. It's nothing to do, and it's not a segue that I intended. I just really want to ask the question. You mentioned in one of your interviews that you're talking about, or at least you're trying harder and harder to get into writing for television. And in the most recent interview I saw, comedy drama. I wanted to ask how that was going, and what progress you've made, and specifically what drew you to that genre, if you don't mind me asking.
That's well, the first part is where are we at? So the script is pretty much done for the pilot, and has been done for a while. We just haven't found time to really get it done. So 2021 was almost like a no-go because I was releasing songs every week. 2022 was, I was supposed to have more time, but then the Mobos thing happened, and then that kind of changed the trajectory. Me working for Marshall now as well has kind of changed like this. Yeah, there's just no time for stuff. But
Gotcha.
it's still in the works, and yeah, we're still moving towards it at some point. But as far as the genre, like comedy is, if I could be anything other than an NBA player, it would be a stand-up comedian. If I had that skill, that's a skill that I would like, or a skill to be able to write comedy. I feel like I can write comedy, and I feel like a lot of, even with bars, right? When you write bars, the reaction you want is laughter. Like you watch battle rap. I see battle rap as musical theatre. The reaction from a good line, for the most part, is laughter. So it's punchlines for rap, but they're also the same as punchlines in comedy. And I just feel like even in life in general, my life is a sitcom, man. Like the things that happen are just nuts most of the time. And I always feel like I wish I had a GoPro so people can actually see this shit. Because what happens is I'll go online and be like, yo, this happened today. And I'll just be like, it sounds nuts, man, but I wish people could actually see it, because then it would just be way funnier. And that's kind of like being a fan of comedy, from going back to Only Fools and Horses. Like that's like a religion in my house. Like growing up, Only Fools and Horses was the thing we watched all the time. Then obviously it went to like Fresh Prince. But as I've got older, I've loved like not just The Office, but like Extras. Like Extras was like one of my favorites. And there's a show, American show with Zach Galifianakis called Baskets. Like to me, those are the shows. Atlanta, like they're the ones that, to me, I'm like, that's the style, man. That's what I want. I want my story told in that way. And yeah, that's what kind of just inspired me to do it. And it's a lofty goal. But even with last year, when I started kind of moving towards it, I found there was a lot of people who are already kind of moving in that world, who are already in it, that I have connections to, that could kind of help me just move into that direction. So it is a lofty goal, but it's quite a realistic one if I apply myself.
The question I have when it comes to that then is, you can't give away anything, I know, but like a lot of comedy series, either willingly or unwittingly, I should say, have those sort of those seminal moments that become quotable or just become, so not, like you mentioned Only Fools and Horses. Who doesn't remember the counter slip? Like that is just comedy fucking legend right there. You know what I mean? And I'm sure they wrote that knowing full well that people were going to lose their shit when they wrote that. Without saying what, do you think you've got any of those moments, or have you lent, perhaps, like you mentioned French Prince of Bel-Air, and I think people don't give that show the credit for its comedy these days. They lean too heavily on those like heavy moments where it's like, oh look, Will's really showing this, and it did have that, sure, but people watched week to week because it was comforting, it was comedy, it was levity, it was that sort of thing, and it had some really good, I mean, come on, Jeff getting thrown out the door each week is one of those comedy tropes that you just, do you know what, I don't care how many times I've seen it, it's still funny. Do you have anything like that in there, or have you tried leaning more on sort of it being fresh and kind of regenerative as it goes along?
Do you know what, I think like my style that I like is very much like, it's not even it's funny, but it's not rolling on the floor laughing, it's not the canned laughter, it's just the situations, and it's almost I guess it's more comedy drama.
You find yourself smiling while you're watching rather than just outright laughing at everything, but you're engaged while you're taking it in, sort of thing.
Like the people that have read the script have been like, yo, nah, this shit's funny, like I was laughing all the way through it. And it's like, yeah, cool, because there's a lot of bits in there that's like, nah, that's jokes. But at the same time, the premise, it being based on me, really, on a character like me. So it's almost like, what would happen if I never got to the little wins, if I never had those. Say I'm just a rapper and nothing's working. So it's almost like where I was when I was, I would say, in my 30s, like coming, like probably like when I was like 27, 28. So I'm in this place where, um, well, actually, yeah, yeah. So when I released, I'm doing it. So around that time was nuts because it's like I want to do music, but I feel like I'm getting too old to do music, and there's not enough. I'm not getting any wins out of it. Like the stuff isn't coming, and I don't know how to do it, but I'm still trying, and I'm just getting knockback after knockback, and within that, I don't know why. Maybe I'm just a sick person, but to me, that shit's funny as fuck because there's so many parts where I'm trying to do things, trying to make it, and I think this is gonna be the bit. Nah, it's not. But at the same time, I'm almost like kind of the character's slightly different than me. I'm a bit more upbeat, but the character's quite laid back and just kind of just like, you know what I mean, like I just don't know if this is gonna work, man. But I'm trying, but I just don't see it working. And every time I try to do it, it just doesn't happen for me. And that's really the premise of the series that we're gonna try and cultivate. And I don't know, I don't even know where it's gonna go as far as like the arc of the like the storyline, like what where's he going with it, or what's he gonna achieve. I don't see it as one day he's gonna get the big record deal, because I kind of like there's a part of like Only Fools and Horses is a great example. Only Fools and Horses was funny as fuck until they got all the money. Then it was like, like, and then they were like, okay, we got to make him lose the money to get back to that funniness. And that's how they did it. So I don't want to even go to that point and be like, nah, you know what I mean? Like, I want to kind of keep it true to life and just true to how we see things over here. We have a very, our taste for comedy over here is very different than the Americans. And I feel like the closest show in America that they have is Atlanta. And I feel like when I first saw Atlanta, I was like, they damn near just stole my idea. Like literally, like what they're doing is literally my idea. But they kind of went a different direction with it. And it was masterfully done. But yeah, that's the vibe we're going for.
And that sounds epic. And the big question obviously is going to be at some stage, like, do you do the classic British thing and only go for 2 seasons, or do you resist the urge and go American and go, listen, guys, we'll keep going until we get, Game of Thrones leaving a coffee on set, lazy with this shit. Just, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know what your temptation would be, considering. I mean,
Two
a
seasons
success.
max, man.
Two
Two
se-
seasons
you're
max.
saying it for you 100%
Yeah.
locked in on that though?
Yeah, because I feel like once the stories, it's like there's certain songs you can only write once.
Yes, sure.
And it's like once it's done, man. And I feel like this story is gonna be, it's a story I can only really tell once. And there's other things I've got other ideas that I can do that I know could go on if I got to a point where this got taken on, they really liked it and they were like, yo, we want to do more seasons. I could be like, well, I have another idea, which is something different where you can give us, I've got a cash cow right here, man, like that we can just beat to death. But for now, this is for this story. That's it, man. That's all you're gonna get, because I feel like as well, it's like the journey is way more exciting than this destination. The journey to get to these places is where all the fun is. Once you've made it, you signed a big deal, you got the big house. All right, man. Like that ain't even. Yeah, it's cool. You got it. You can just relax. But that's not where the fun is. The fun is in the 8-hour drives to shows. Like the fun is getting kicked out of hotel rooms. The fun is doing the show, and the promoter going, "Yo, we ain't got the money, man," and just having to eat it. Like, all right, cool. Or get into the show and seeing a line at the door and be like, "Oh my days!" Like we actually we got some people, and then we're going, no, it's that one over there. You're like, oh, and you get there, but there's no one in there. Like those are the moments that we go back and laugh about and talk about. They're the ones that, you know what I mean, like that I feel make the ups and downs of what this industry is.
And it's not just, I mean, again, speaking is, I see a lot of parallels in the fact that I've always seen myself as very independent. I've always hated the idea of kind of doing this, but like getting a mandate form and here's a list of things you can't say. And by the way, could you also wear? No, I'm cool. But then you go. But then you have to deal with some of that stuff where you're like, you promote a stream for a week and a half, you go live, and two people are watching, and one of them's your mum, and you go, "Hi, mum,"
100%.
and it's like, but then when you look back to where you are now, and then you're like, do you know what? The grind was worth it because I appreciate every little thing that I've managed to accumulate, and it's
Yeah,
almost, I don't want to say I feel bad because success brings with it its own inherent and obvious benefits, but the fact that there's some people that are going to wake up every day and not appreciate it, I feel
yeah,
bad for them. Like, man, you can't appreciate just how fucking good it is. Like, you look at things and you go, yeah, man, but see what they've got, and you're like, you're not doing too badly, like,
yeah.
just take a look around, take a moment to appreciate them, to take a moment to appreciate, just again, with COVID and a lot of things that go on in the world today, just day to day, like us going into Christmas time as of the recording of this video, like the fact that they're having to tell supermarket adverts like, hey, you might want to tone down the affluence because many families can't even afford to fucking heat their houses this year. So maybe don't have a tree with like a million shit around it. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
that speaks to like just having that baseline appreciation, which brings me back to something that I think is intriguing with you as opposed to a lot of my other guests. You have zero fucks to give when it comes to social media, and I absolutely love it because you just, again, you don't feel the need to preface a lot of things. The worst exchange I've ever seen you get into was with someone. I won't reference it directly, but it was still very measured and it wasn't visceral. It was just you were stating something, and someone did the classic Twitter thing of pointing out the 0.5% you didn't allude to in the tweet, and then you went, are you saying my original statement is somehow incorrect? But what? Like, I'm allowed to express my opinion. It's Twitter.
That's
So
Twitter,
what I
man.
wanted to ask was, when it comes to the culmination of everything that you have to deal with as an independent artist, or as an artist in general, like, again, the sort of the fluctuating fandom, the changes in tastes and genres, social media, and all the fucking pressure that comes with, again, having to use it as a marketing tool, but then you can talk to everyone in the world, but then you have to talk to everyone in the world. That kind of dichotomy. How do you maintain your motivation? How do you maintain that sort of same level of commitment to a craft that you've spent a long time cultivating and mastering? How do you still find energy for new avenues and the diversification of things that you've tried to sort of imbue with your body of work? Like, is there a catalyst to it, or is that something you have to look inside for? You have to go, take a breath, right, remember, right, now let's go after it? Or is there
Nah,
just
man.
something driving you?
Nah, this is just because it's natural. So it's like one of the things, yeah, like people experience burnout, and I feel like the reason why you experience burnout is when you're doing something you don't really want to do, and it's not giving you, you're just not getting energy back
Well,
from it.
literally, it's traction, isn't it? It's that
Right.
part of you're not moving forwards or backwards. You're literally burning yourself out, staying in a place you don't want to be, otherwise you wouldn't be
Right.
trying to move. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So even if you look at my career, yeah, so the music's coming out regardless. So I'm gonna make songs regardless. It doesn't really matter who listens and who doesn't listen. I'm just gonna be doing me. If you listen, cool. If you don't, cool. Same with social media. I'm gonna post. I'm gonna post. If it catches, cool. If it don't, cool. But like when I have meetings with social media managers or in labels and stuff, and they're like, yeah, you've got to post like every day on Instagram. You got to post, you know what I mean, 2 to 3 times a week on TikTok, and you got to do that. I'm just like, I don't have to. Like, yeah, nah, but if you want to, yeah, that's true. Like, I could do that, but what's gonna happen is gonna start feeling like a chore to me,
It becomes
and then I'm not gonna
formulaic as
enjoy
well
it.
because you're doing something against your own inclination.
Right, cool. If what happens is one day I find something, or I find a way to use TikTok in the way that I want to use it, and it doesn't feel like it's taking me out of my day to day. Like, I just tweet when I feel like tweeting, innit? So that's super easy. It's almost like it's so natural. I've been doing it forever now, so it's not a thing. Some things fall away. I don't use Facebook anymore, but it used to be Facebook before. If I find a way of doing it on TikTok, which doesn't take away a lot of time, or at least the time I give to it is rewarded, then I'll do it. I'll be like, all right, cool. I found a way to use TikTok for my benefit, which is authentic to me. So you're not going to see me doing TikTok dances. You're not going to see me doing anything out of character, because that's just not me. Like, and every time I do that kind of stuff, when I'm like, oh, you know what? Let me try and do something for TikTok, and it's a little bit like not me. I'm deleting. I'm like, nah, man, that's just it don't feel right. And I feel like one of the things I've always been cognizant of is, like, say, like, I'm talking to you, right, we're having a conversation. I never want it to be like someone who knows me goes, nah, that ain't how Genesis is, man. Yeah, I mean, like, nah, that ain't me. Like, my wife and kids, they got to see me out. Like, my parents are gonna watch stuff like I never want it to be like, nah, that's just not, you're doing something that's not you, or that's not how you actually are. So to me, there always has to be that thread that goes through everything. And I feel like when you don't have that, that's when you get burnt out. And when I see people say to me, oh yeah, man, it's just really hard, like, it's really hard, you know, trying to get all these songs and blah 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 blah. To me, I'm just like, maybe this ain't for you, man, or it is for you, but just not in that way. Not everybody can put out a single every week. I could still do it now if I wanted to. I'm just busy. But to me, I'm never gonna get burnt out with doing things that I love, and that goes for social media. It goes for putting out the music. It goes for all the content that gets created. Anything I do, it has to be because I love it, and it might be sporadic, but that's okay, man. Because in the grand scheme of things, I'm still consistent in the long run. So maybe I only post on TikTok once every 3 weeks, but they're there, innit? If you want them, they're there. Every now and then I'll hit a post and we get 2.7 million plays. All right, cool, all good. But I wasn't looking for that. And when I had that viral moment, I didn't go, oh, I need another one. I have that, man. I'm gonna do something else that may not go viral next, but I don't care, because it's not for that. It's like, this is so much bigger than these moments. And like you said about artists who get the money, like, it might not be about the money in the long run. I feel like when I'm 90, if I live to be that old, I don't think it's going to be about the money. I think it's going to be about something way bigger than that. I think it's going to be about legacy. And obviously, I'm also not saying don't get money. Like, I love money. Like, you need to be able to, there's a balance. And when I was younger, I was like, yo, it's all for the love, man. Fuck the money. And that's why I was broke for so long. Then I was like, oh no, wait, you need to get money so you can, like, you know, live and feed your family and buy a house and shit. Yeah, but then it's not the be all and end all. Once you've got to that point, now you can really start making decisions about what's your legacy going to be. And I say this so many times, man. One day, I hope, like, my great grandchildren go, wait, that was our great granddad. What was he saying? Let me hear what this old man was saying, man. What was he on? And just listen and go, oh shit, okay, that was his vibe. That was cool, man. That was cool. And there was some references in the things that he said. He spoke about things in his time, and he said some cool stuff. And yeah, that's cool. Right, let me go do some cool shit. You know what I mean? And carry that on. That's what legacy's about.
100%. I mean, if I'm going to butcher his name because I'm not familiar with the guy that bit, but Lewis Capaldi's just gone, I think it's 563 million streams. But the most successful state. But here's the thing, I remember hearing an anecdote of his where he was talking about being in a motorway M&S or something,
right?
And he was walking around and no one recognized him, and at that point he'd had the most successful UK, US, or whatever it was, but he'd managed to be the height of prominence and success to literally being 5 feet away from people you would think would recognize him, and not even a beat. And he had to call his manager immediately and said, dude, we got to do something, like, now. Not even because I'm sure he wasn't sweating for cash. I mean, he was shopping in an M&S roadside fucking shop. He must have money to burn. But I mean, come on, man, no one fucking shops at M&S on the road. Shit's already inflated in a fucking roadside, you know, I'm gonna say gas station like an American, but it's an M&S as well. But the point is, like, I'm sure he was concerned with his legacy. I'm sure he's like, fuck, do I really want to just be that guy who's known for that one song, or that series of songs, and then like, it always comes down to it. I have this argument with people all the time where people are like, "Oh, this guy's so and so, and he gets to a certain age and he changed his ways. Is it real?" Trust me, every man at some stage in his life has to come face to face with his legacy, and he has to
Mm,
reconcile. Am I actually happy with it, or do I now need to start thinking about it? And it's so comforting, and I'm sure you feel this way, to look back at this point and go, yeah, I've made my fair share of mistakes, and there's probably some stuff in hindsight that could have been done differently. But man, I'm happy with it. I'm glad that I've got it to fall back on, and I'm glad that I get to
mm,
build off it, because imagine if I'd have made a different decision here or there, it would have been different.
yeah,
I have a couple more questions because I'm
yeah,
acutely
man.
aware that we have lives to lead, and yours is infinitely more interesting than mine, and I want you to
Oh
resume
no.
doing it. But I'm also remiss if I don't mention Mr. Carl Anker. He gave me a tip that I should limit my interviews to 10 questions rather than the 30,000 that I normally ask. Again, for people who don't know, I send cheat sheets in advance, and I'm always acutely aware that the guest receives it and goes, "Fuck me, what does he want to do? Read the Magna Carta?" And I'm sorry that if that
You
was
did
like
your
one of those.
homework, man. I was reading it. I was like, oh shit!
Well,
Like,
this is the thing, man.
yeah,
Like I said at the beginning, there's something heartbreaking when you see interviews and you go, "Oh man, he's been asked this question again, man." Like you hate it's. For me, it just feels like Michael Parkinson bringing someone on stage and going, "All right, so you're a musician, are you?" You know, and it's like, dude, you have to know who you're fucking talking to before you sit down and talk to them. But I digress. Couple of other questions. I mean, the obvious question, obviously, is what are your aspirations going forward? I mean, you've got a body of work that anyone will be proud of.
Mm.
You've got a presence on social media. I mean, the blue tick now looking a little bit infuriating, I'm sure, from your perspective, having earned it the old-fashioned way, as the kids will now say it, by being, I don't know, good and famous at what he does, instead of having, I don't know, £8 spare. But like, what are your aspirations? Like, what do you really have like your eye on in terms of, right, that this is the next thing, and maybe this is the next thing after that?
I think oh, I'm verified on Instagram now, so I don't care about Twitter anymore. So
Here it is.
that's dead.
I
But
daren't get involved in that fucking argument, by the way. We're just gonna skip right on past that one.
I think there's goals that I have, there's things that I want to achieve, and I think for the most part at the moment it's like it's really a numbers game. So it's really just trying to get the profile up. I want to do my own. I want to start touring properly. So I'm probably gonna do my first little tour next year. Well, my first tour for a long time anyway. And again, there'll be small venues, and just really start building that up as well. I'm aware that the social media, you can be good at social media, and it doesn't necessarily translate to people listening to your music more.
Sure.
So I'm really at the moment trying to figure out, like, well, where should the energy be? Where should I be putting the energy if I want to have more people listening to my music, and I want to build up my fan base on that side of things, rather than just having a big fan base on social media. So part of the discussion I'm having with my team is, like, what do we need to do? Like, do we need to go old school and just start doing loads of shows again and just hitting up everywhere, just doing live shows, being at every live event, even if it is only one or two songs? Like, do we go back to the old school way of doing things? That might be it. Or is there another way? So I feel like over the next year, that's what I'm probably going to be figuring out. I think I'm going to try and drop an album. I wasn't going to drop an album until 2024, but I've got an album. So I've got music there. So I'm probably going to put it out next year, sometime around this time. So it'll probably be like September, October time, if all goes well. And yeah, man, just like do more of the same, man. Like, when people hit me up and they're like, yo, what are you up to nowadays? Bro, I'm doing the same thing I was doing when you last saw me. I'm just doing it bigger now. Like, that's what it is. We do it bigger and just get paid a little bit more. But it's the same thing. And it's like me trying to figure out, how do I just keep making those incremental steps? How do I just keep making this a little bit bigger, a little bit better, a little bit I guess we're just polishing it up, man. So that's where we are for the next year. It's gonna be cool as well, because the next project is drum and bass and garage. Drum and bass and garage, and we'll see how that's received as well. So yeah, to me that's exciting as well, kind of getting to do things in a different way. I was thinking the analogy the other day, like rap is, to me, is like, that's the NBA. Like that's just, I mean, if you become a big rapper, you made the league, and doing the other stuff, that's when you get to play in like Europe. You go to the European leagues, you get to be pro in Italy. Like, that's still cool though, and I feel like that's where I am at the moment. Let me see if I can make some waves over here.
Silly question, just on something you mentioned there. Is there a way that you typify your normal interactions with fans that you found particularly enjoyable? Is it via social media, or has it been in a live capacity, or another way perhaps? Has it been just maybe through interactions with people once they've they've had a chance to sample a lot of what you've done, or just particular interactions? Like, do you have a way that typifies a way that you've really enjoyed interacting with your fans?
I love Twitter, man. Like, I love Twitter. I've made so many like friends that started off as just, we're just Twitter friends, to being like real life friends and seeing people in the real world and stuff. One of the problems that's come up, big up Fallacy again. I remember Fallacy telling me, like, you're too accessible, man. Like, people can,
oh man, yes. I can relate.
like,
Yeah,
they can touch you, they can always touch you. And I was like, and even before he said that, I had another manager, and she was saying the same thing. She was like, yeah, you got to be more like, you know what I mean? They got to feel like they can't touch you. Like, you need to be like more up there. And I just can't do that, because that's not the kind of person I am. And I feel like, again, it's like trying to keep that authenticity of who I am. It's always weird when someone tweets me and I tweet them back and they go, oh my God, you replied. I'm like, I don't think there's ever been someone who's tweeted me that I haven't replied. I've been on Twitter since 2009 or whatever. There's never been anyone who's tweeted me and I haven't replied. Like, to me, it's not a problem. It's not an issue.
Full disclosure, I count myself among them. I'm just going to throw that out there, and I know it doesn't make me look very cool, but it's true. I was staggered to hear when you would be available to sit and chat, because, and I hope you don't mind me saying, the reason that I think your persona online has a lot of cachet is you do have, even though you're an artist, you have an authoritative aura about you. Like, there's something very defined and considered that has an authority, but without being overbearing and arrogant. Like, some people have an arrogance online when they tweet stuff, and you go, I'm not sure you really understand what you're talking about. Whereas, again, you have like that kind of considered authority about your presence on Twitter in our interactions, and of course having looked through your feed.
I think, but to me, again, it's just like, I Twitter used to be wild, man. Like, back in the day, Twitter was a wild place, and I think we've learned how to conduct ourselves in this environment. And I say all the time, like, I've got I say it on You Can Fuck With Me, I'm laughing and joking online or something like that. Like, and I understand how to be cordial online and just be polite, but that's exactly how I'm in the real world. Like, if you meet me, I'm cool, man. I'm just cool, but there's a line, and I feel like that's the bit that people have followed me long enough to understand. There's lines that you don't cross, that even online, when you feel that you can say whatever you want. The fact that I'm so accessible is cool, but especially in the UK, like, if you could touch me, I could touch you too. So let's always be like, have that level of respect for each other, and just be like, nah, like, yeah. And I'm very honest as well. So I'm not like, I'm not a kind of person who takes things to heart. So if someone says something horrible to me, or, you know, they say something that they think is going to offend me, most times I'll just be like, yeah, you might be right, to be fair. I don't know. You might be right. Like, I might be a dickhead. I don't like, and then they'll go, oh no, sorry, man, I didn't mean it that way. And I'm like, then why even say it in the first place? You know what I mean? Like, and yeah, I just feel like I try to let people get as much of the real me as possible. Like I said, I always want the interaction you have with me to be as authentic as possible, not just as someone who doesn't know me, but the people who do know me to go, nah, I can back that. Like, I know that's really him. Like, he's really that. When he says something, he's really that. So when I put things in songs, I have people like my big cousin listens to my music, and my other cousin, and my little cousins listen to my music. Like, my wife listens to my music, my kids listen to my music. So things that I say, these things hold weight. They're not said just because I can say them. Nah, these are things that can be verified. Way before verification was a thing, I was verified in the places I walk up and down every day. And I feel like, to me, that's way more important than all this stuff. That's what I say. One day, man, like, it might not be about the money. It might be about the respect, or it might just be about the time you showed somebody some sort of kindness online and just had a human moment. Because again, online there's so much fakeness, there's so much us trying to be something, and even with like we put up filters and masks. And I'm not saying that I'm 100%. I'm trying to be as authentic as I can be.
Sure.
Like, everyone has like a level of, you know what I mean, difference that they are behind closed doors. But at the same time, I'm trying to just give that whatever you need, however you see me online, when you see me in real life, that's how I'm going to be. We're going to have that same, we're always going to keep that same energy. So try and have that kindness about what I do.
To that effect then, I have to ask, have you found a new car wash yet?
Yo, you know what? I haven't, yeah? But, like, I haven't, man. But you know what? I feel so bad as well, yeah? I feel bad. So that car,
you can give the context if you want to.
Okay.
People aren't going to get it. I just had to ask, because especially considering that segue was perfect. But go ahead, give the context if you need.
I've been using the same car wash forever. These guys, they're good, man. They've been looking after, even before I had this car, which is probably going to get sold in next couple of days, but it's broken. But yeah, like, they're always good. Like, it's 15 quid inside and out. I give them £20, nothing, man. And I've like, every 2 weeks I'm there. Boom, I go get my hair cut, go get my car washed. That's what we do. So I went there the other day, and I hadn't gone for a while as well, because I've moved house and everything's crazy. So I've gone there, man, given them the money. I'm in a bit of a rush because I had to go see my drop something off to my dad. So I got out of the car, dropped the thing off to my dad, come back to the car, and I'm like, wait, why is this car so dirty still? Like, what is going on? Like, did they nah, man, you didn't do the job that I came for. And I have to admit, normally there's a lot more of them. There was only 2 of them that time, and really was only 1 of them working on the car, because there was a lot of other cars there. So normally you might have like 5 of them on it. But I was like, damn, I was let down, man. I was severely let down. And then my car broke like the day after. So
I mean, I'm sorry to hear about your car breaking. My years as a service advisor might be useful in our Twitter DMs after this conversation if you need any advice. For preference, though, if anyone wants any bad consumer advice from me, I once had a pizza with literal human strands of hair in from a place called Embers. But I was so drunk at the time, we ended up going back the following week to give him another chance. You know, come on, it's a one-time thing. No word of a lie, happened again. So
that's
crazy.
Listen,
okay, right. I was fucking 19 at the time, and it was off. It's been look. There's a place in Northamptonshire where it is the dirtiest kebab shop laden road in the fucking. You don't expect gourmet food, okay? And it was buy one, get one free, so it was super cheap. This is back in the days when you used to get shit for free, ladies and gentlemen. But the point is, like, even I remember like being so drunk that I was like, I feel like there's something in it. Like, what is going on here? It didn't make sense to me in the moment. Do you know what I mean? Like, it can't be hair, because that would mean that Embers have fucked us, and they never fuck us. We go there every week. So we throw it out and we just walk around the Tesco's and get some chicken or something. I can't remember. But then the next week we're like, should we? Like, well, look, we've been going to them for about a year, so come on, we can give them another shot. Fucking happened again, but we were stone cold sober this time, because I was like, I'm right. Fuck has happened again. So I do appreciate that you may have had your fingers burnt once, but I always operate under the rule of 2s. Like, everyone's allowed a bad day, you know.
Nah, not in food. Like car, I give you, like, I might go back, because the thing is, the difference is, if they had more people, and I say to him, yo, bro, the last wash, didn't like it, do it properly. And sometimes what I'll do is, they'll finish it, and I'll be like, oh, you missed a spot there, boom, boom, boom. We'll do that. It's cool. So with them, they might get another chance. Food, there's like,
Just
absolutely, that's
absolutely
it.
not.
I'm never going back there. You'll never get another chance. I'm like that as well. Like there's never been a place that I've gone to, and if the food is bad, I've gone back there. And that does it. It goes for McDonald's, KFC. If I go to a KFC and you don't do the chicken how I like it, I'm never going back to that KFC. Like, and you're gonna hear about it, but I'm never going back. Like, it's just, yeah.
Can you apply it to KFC? I mean, I've had some bad KFCs in my time, but I never thought, like, I just always put it down to, like, I don't know,
It's
KFC gods were off that day.
Yeah, it depends how they mix it, but there's a few that you're just like,
You've put one drumstick in this. Where are the rest of them?
I went the other day, man. There's a good one around the corner from me, and I was like, yeah, because my order's weird as well, yeah. So I don't get chips or drink. I just get chicken in it. So I'll be like,
no, I'm 100% with you on
Yeah,
that. If I get the
alright,
boneless
cool.
bar quit, I might get gravy, but if it's just chicken, no, you just get chicken. Fucking
Cool.
KFC fries, get the fuck out of here with your KFC
Yeah,
fries.
disgusting. Like, if they give me the fries, I'm giving them back. I'm like, nah, I've done it bare times as
100%.
well. Yeah, no, you keep them.
You just
So-
give them back.
Yeah, man. I said, yeah. Can you take the fries out, please? Keep those. I don't want those. And so I said to the guy, yeah, can I get 4 pieces of chicken? He's like, what? Just chicken, yeah? I was like, yeah. And I want 2 legs and 2 wings. He's like, oh, okay, cool. So, well, when I got there, he was like, yeah, I gave you 3 legs, 3 wings, bro. I was like, all right, say. Like, I was like, cool. That's the place I'm coming back to. Like, I'm a sucker for good customer service. If some place
100%.
gives me good customer service, then I'm there for life. Like, that's my spot. These are the places that I'm going to. But if I get bad customer service, I think my dad's like that though, man. My dad will complain about anything. Like, it has to be right, and if it's not right, it's getting up and saying, nah, fix that, fix this, da. When I was younger, I used to hate it because my dad we'd get drinks at McDonald's and he would go back and go, nah, it's not to the line, fit it up to the line, like, or he'd get the chips and be like, nah, fill those up, like, you know what I mean? But now I'm the same. I'm just like, yeah, nah, don't do that, man. Like,
I'd love to say I'm different. I was that guy that remembers seeing the thing outside of McDonald's that said, by the way, our Big Macs now only have 1 gherkin in them going forward due to shortages. I'm like, I don't see you fucking reducing the price though. And I'm like, I don't even like gherkin. I don't even eat them half the time. Like, why do I care? But I'm that age now where it's like, hang on, you promised me a service. I've become accustomed to said service. You will provide it or we will have an altercation. I
100%.
leave the choice to you.
And I'm like, because I'm a very polite person and I'm a
Likewise,
good
yeah.
tipper as well. Like, I'm always like 50% round up. Like, I'm always going to give you a good tip as well. So I expect the service to be great. So when it's not, I'm just like, nah, not having it. Like, don't like that. And yeah, I guess as I get older, I was saying to my wife the other day, man, I was like, I can't wait to be like a proper old man where I could just not give a fuck. She's like, you're pretty rude now, you know. I'm like, no, I'm not rude. I just know what I want and I know what should be expected. And she was the example she brought up here. We were in Tesco and doing the gun thing, the self-serve.
Oh yeah.
Cool. So when you go to do like loose vegetables or loose fruit, you have to weigh it, and then it will give you a sticker, and then you scan the sticker. So I've gone to use one of them, and it's not working. Then I've gone to use another one that's not working. So I've gone over to one of the workers. I was like, mate, you've got 2 that aren't working. He's like, and he's just like kind of dismissive and has gone, oh no, one over there, man. Use one over there. So I'm like, wait, what? Like, number 1, calm down. And number 2, if I walk over there and it's not working, I'm coming back here. So you better hope it is working. She was like, and I was like, the only reason I was like that is because I know that how in Tesco's, if you ask a question, they're supposed to take you to where you're going. They're not supposed to just go, oh yeah, whatever. That's why I was like kind of rude with him. But yeah, that's just me.
In your defense, right, I imagine my grandmother's too old to go and do her own shopping, but I imagine walking her into one of those places, her getting to one of those things, getting an attendant and saying, well, it's your job. I'm not doing this. No, madam, you don't understand. It's self-service. I'm like, I don't give a flying fuck what your sign says. You're the cashier. You scan my shit. I'm surprised you don't put it in a bag for me, but we don't ask for that these days. That's fine. But you're scanning it for me. You want me to fucking operate your equipment for you and then
And
go and
she's
do
earned it.
admin.
She's earned the right to say that.
Yeah, so she's at
100%.
the proper fuck you age when you're that old to be like rude, but is when you're not afraid of reprisals because you know you're at an age where it's actually cruel if someone reprises against you. So like when someone's like, "Ah, oh, this person was really rude to me," it's like, "Well, how old were they? 70. You didn't do anything, did you? Why? You can't be rude to a 70-year-old. Come on now."
Oh,
Whereas
70
when
now
it's
you might get
70,
70 you might still get it.
maybe. I mean,
75.
but I mean, like my age, your age, like if someone's
Nah,
rude to
you
us
you get
back,
it.
it's that going to the back and say, yeah, he came up to me and asked for me one of these barcodes, and I told him where to go. And it's like,
Yeah, no one
why are you
cares.
proud of that, man? Do you know what I mean? But I do feel your pain there. That's fair enough. I
Man.
will end on a not a serious question, but a more question in line with the genre. I saw a Mr. Tony D retweet you recently, and
Mm,
that's when I knew that because my uncle doesn't lead me astray, does Mr. Tony D. He said. He was expecting big things and he's excited for your big things. You once said, music isn't what I do, it's what I am.
mm.
Do you have like a moment in your career or do you have a moment in your music aspirational period when you were younger or now as an artist as a fully realized final edition article as you are now, something that you would say typifies that attitude, something that says like I it's not something that I don't put it on as a coat and take it off at night. I am look, if you gave me a music project to do tomorrow, there's nothing I couldn't do. There's like I'm not phased by anything when it comes to my application as a musician. Do you have anything that typifies that, would you say?
I think it's just my career, man. I think like I don't know. I think I've just everything I have I owe to music. So it's all my close friends come from we met each other through music. Big up Tony D. Like we're friends through music. All the opportunities I've got to be able to buy the things that I bought and things that I have, all these things they came through music. Like rap was the thing that opened the door to these things. And like when I was coming up here, people would ask me what I do, and I would say, "Oh, I'm in music, and I do this, I produce, I do that, da, 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 da," and I would list off a bunch of things, almost like to legitimize the fact that I'm not just a rapper.
Right.
But now I don't do that. So we're meeting the neighbors the other day, and one of the guys we met lives across the way, works in finance, and he was like, "What do you do?" I said, "I'm a rapper." And they're like, "Oh, Ricky, cool. And then my wife was like, "No, well, he's not just a rapper." But and I was just
Right,
like,
okay.
nah, don't. You ain't got to do that. You don't have to do that because I had to do that stuff. I had to do that stuff before when I had to legitimize like what I did. I don't have to do that anymore because you work in finance. I'm a rapper. We live on the same street. You live across the way from me. We're in the same place. Yeah. Like if to be fair, I paid a lot more for my house. You got your house cheap. Yeah, you know what I mean, I just bought mine just now. So like, to me, it's like the music. It's just one. It's all just one. It's one of what I am, and it started a very long time ago. Like there was never. This was always the plan A. Like there was a couple of plan Bs, but the music was the thing that was always the thing. When I was 9 years old, started listening to hip hop and stuff, and I was just like, "Oh, this is what adults do. I'm gonna do that." There was no thought like, "Oh, like one day I'm gonna be a rapper." And no, I'm a rapper now. Cool. That's what you lot do. My cousins rap. That's what they do. They write bars. That's what I do as well. We write bars. My little brother, yo, we write bars now, bro. Cool, let's do it. Like, and that's always been the thing. That's been the constant from that time. So as I turn, I'm 41 now, and it's like I've been doing this for 30 years, being involved in making music and writing bars, and everything I have has come from that, and that's the way it's going to be moving forward. I talk about wanting to get into TV and doing films and stuff. The films that I've been in up until now, that came from people I knew through music, through being a rapper. And yeah, I'm super grateful for that.
I feel remiss now because I kicked off this conversation quite abruptly. I did write you an intro, and I'm always hesitant with intros because some people like them, some people are embarrassed by them, and then there's people who are like, if I'd have written it, I'd have changed it. And I feel like, I mean, do you mind? Is it? I mean, I
Cool.
would,
Yeah,
in a
man, go
piece of editing trickery, this will appear at the beginning of the video when you won't be aware it happened right at the end after we've done the intro. So um, just because I got to do it. So, this edition, we welcome a music artist, rapper, and a writer who's been performing and producing music for decades, has aspired to become a musician since he was 10. Now with a discography that includes 10 album credits such as Dipon Road, Private Moments in Public, Before I Was Famous, and Vision. He has recently seen his following continue to grow and explode, culminating in plays on BBC Radio 1 and inclusion in the Mobo Unsung Class of 2022. 60,000 plus monthly listeners on Spotify, and he's been championed by the likes of Zane Lowe, Charlie Sloth, and Ricky Gervais. He's performed at Glastonbury, Wembley, just to name a few of his accolades. Ladies and gentlemen, a man whose musical prowess and dynamism must put him in your top 5 on your playlist when you're easily listening at 4 a.m. in Watford, because blimey, to me, he's undeniable. It's the absurdly talented and prolific Genesis Elijah.
That's an intro, man.
Is that an intro? I never know if it's too much, not enough, if I fluff my lines, if that makes it worse. Tony
Nah,
D said
man.
he was really happy with my intro because I made him feel, and I had to remind him, dude, you're Tony D. An intro in my YouTube channel shouldn't be something you're like, oh, this is pretty good. It's like, yeah, and I felt like you might be the same. I felt like you might read that off and go, yeah, it's good to be here. It was.
It's cool,
You know,
man.
so,
It's cool, but you know what? I feel like there's a lot of stuff that we do. There's two sides of the music game, and as an artist, you have to be cognizant of both sides. So there's the numbers and the hype, yeah,
right.
and like the stuff that you read off, yeah. That's like, to me, that's the hype stuff, and that's for everybody else, but it's not for me. It's for me to put it out there so people know, but it's never for me to be like, yo, that was amazing, like you did some shit. Like, it, to me, to us, for the artist, your goal has to be on really two things: the product, so making sure you're making the best music, and making sure that you're present it in a way, present it in a way that you can actually profit off it and make your money from it and feed your family from it. As I say always, like, the numbers are cool, but the only numbers an artist needs to really worry about once you've made the music is the numbers with the pound sign in front of it, because that's what's going to allow you to make more music and to carry on with what you're trying to do for it to be sustainable. And yeah, man, but it's cool, but at the same time, man, you have to respect what you've done. Like, you kind of got to look and be like, yeah, nah, man, like I did that stuff, and I try. When I was younger, I was definitely not about any of that stuff. Like, I hated all of it. Like, it was never big to me. Even doing Glastonbury, when I did Glastonbury, it was not a big deal for me. Like, it was just like, whatever, man. But I wasn't in a moment, because I was always just like, nah, like, I need the bigger. I want bigger. I want bigger. I want more. It's like, nah, like when I did Wembley, that's 2016, and I remember just being like, I'm gonna remember this moment, and when I close my eyes, I can still see it, because there's two things that are gonna happen. Number one, if it never happens again, because it's a once in a lifetime thing for most artists, you were in the moment, like you remember what it felt like, you remember what it sounded like. On the other side, you've seen it now, and if you've seen it, you visualize it. That means you can go for it again. Like, this can be. You're not going to be on stage with somebody else next time. Next time it's going to be your crowd, like your stage. Your name's going to be up there, but at the same time, man, you just be in a moment. Just respect it. Respect the moments, because again, you don't know when these are your last moments. So respect every single one of those moments.
I mean, it's been done to death by the Marvel thing because of Vision. Thanks a lot for him. But his statement of a thing isn't beautiful because it lasts is that thing of appreciating something even if it is finite. There's nothing wrong with it, and in many ways, it's the measure of a person. Like, are you able to fully appreciate something, not undervalue it, not overvalue it? In the case of your status as a musician and artist, sure, there's something to be said about being humble, but there's also something to be said about, no, but I am this status. I do deserve
Yeah,
to be. I do deserve to be mentioned in this conversation because of what I've. And sometimes you have to put yourself forward. You have to be the
yeah,
one to toot your own horn and say, no, actually, I deserve this credit. Actually, I deserve to be mentioned in this frame. To be put in this context because people sleep on things, man. People underestimate things. If we're living in a generation now, I don't think it's a generation that's discovering things. I think it's a generation that's now starting to put things into better context when
mm,
framed against things that were hyped at the time. And you go, well,
true.
actually, no. You look at this, and we all thought it was wank. But actually, when you look at it in context, without taking, young eyes, fresh eyes that weren't swept up with everything. I mean, with all due respect, I mean, I thought Power Rangers was amazing when I was 7. I was wrong, it turns out, because all they did was walk in front of explosions half the time. But I thought it was fucking amazing. And then you go now and you go, okay, things have moved on, things have developed.
Yeah,
But I'm starting a whole new conversation, and because I've been so greedy with your time. I have just one more question for you, and it's the
cool.
big one, which is, where can people find you? Where can people support you? Where can people follow you? And where do you want people to get everything? Where do you want people to get their hit of you?
Um, I'm the easiest person to find. You can just Google me. I'm everywhere. Um, I guess like it's really weird because the platform that gets the most attention is Spotify. So it's important that people go follow on Spotify. Um, but as far as like the platform that helps me the most is Bandcamp. So Bandcamp is a place where people can buy my music directly, and the money comes straight to me. So money wise, like Bandcamp's the place. But as far as like if you just want to hear my music, Spotify's still cool. It's free for you, it's free for the user, which I like. Ease of use is amazing. But yeah, hit me there, or again, I'm always on Twitter, I'm always on Instagram, and yeah, man, we just hit me up, man. If you listen to the music and you have a question about it or anything like that, yeah, man, I'm here.
And on that note, I can't thank you enough. Honestly, it's been a fucking pleasure, man. Like, I was
Thank
excited
you,
from
bro.
from an artistic perspective to speak to someone who I see as somewhat of a kindred spirit in the way that you've approached the work. And having had a conversation with you about car washes and KFC, I feel like I've only ingratiated myself with someone who I feel like I've got a lot more in common with than I sat down and considered. So honestly, thank you so much for taking the time and sharing your insights, sharing
Bro,
your thoughts on your career and everything that you've accomplished, man. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it.
man, thank you, man. Thank you for your time, man. Like again, all these interviews, like again, sometimes we take it for granted. People want to speak to us, but to me, that's like it's a massive blessing that people even have the fact that find what I do interesting enough to want to ask questions about it, because that's not a place that everybody reaches. So I'm very appreciative of it. So thank you.